All right, welcome back to this class. Now today, let's use Power Query to do web scraping in Microsoft Excel. Now, if you're still wondering what is web scraping, this is the process of connecting and extracting data from websites or web pages automatically instead of copying and pasting this data manually. Web scraping allows you to collect tables, lists, or any other information directly from a web page or a website and turn it into a structured data set inside of Microsoft Excel or any other data analysis tool like Power BI for analysis. Now, in the Excel perspective, web scraping is done using a built-in feature called Power Query. Now, Power Query lets you connect Excel directly to a web page, identify and extract specific tables or data from that web page, clean and transform that data automatically inside of Power Query, and also refresh that data whenever the website updates or gets new similar data. Now, that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you how to do practically in this class. And without wasting time, let's head over to Excel and do this. All right, now you can see I'm inside of Microsoft Excel. What I need to do is to go over to the web page that I would like to establish a connection to. So this is a Wikipedia page that contains list of countries by GDP. So what I want to do here is to transfer this table or to extract this table into Microsoft Excel and use this data for analysis. This is a list of countries with their estimated GDP by IMF, World Bank, and United Nations. Of course, I would have, manually copied this particular data by just highlighting like so, and then right mouse click and say copy and paste this data in Excel. But the problem with this approach is that if this particular website in the future, it gets new data, I am unable to get that new data into my spreadsheet. Now, the best approach would be using Power Query and this web scraping technique to bring that data into Excel. Now, the only thing that I need to do here is to grab the page URL. So I just come over here and pick this URL, Control C, and then I head over to Microsoft Excel, and under the Data tab, under my Data tab here, under the Get and Transform Data Tools, I go to Get Data, navigate all the way through to Other Sources, and then I pick from Web. If I don't do this, what I can do is to come back to the Get and Transform Data group of tools, and I'll see a shortcut somewhere called From Web. So either way, you still get to the same dialog box. So I'll just use my approach that I commonly use, Get Data from Other Sources, from Web. Now what this does, it launches a small dialog box, and this only requires I paste the URL of the website. I'll just Control V to bring in the Wikipedia page and then say OK. Immediately I do this, Excel will try to establish a connection to that particular web page or website that I'm sending this particular Power Query to. Now when this navigator dialog box opens, Excel shows me all the pages that it has identified on that page. So I can just keep checking through which page I'm interested in or which table. Okay, if I'm interested in table 4, I can check the data. And if this is what I want to pick, then I can go ahead and do that. But the table I'm interested in is this table here called GDP forecast or estimates. Okay, this is the table that I want to transfer over to Excel. And what I can do to pick up this table is I can turn on the select multiple item option here and place a check mark on the table I'm interested in. This side I'll get a preview, okay? And I can also check here, toggle through and see the web preview. This is the exact web preview where I'm trying to pick this data from. But in here, I also get a table view of the table that I'm trying to transfer. Now, I will actually say transform data, and this will launch me into the Power Query editor. Now, inside of Power Query editor, this is where we perform all the transformations, the changes that we need to perform on our data before we start using it for analysis. But a few things that I will want to do with this particular data before I load it into Excel is, you can see my column headers are also considered as if it is a record. So what I need to do is to make sure I promote this first row into my column headers. How do I do that? I'll just right click anywhere on this particular icon, or I just tap this particular icon on the sides, and then there is an option here, use first row as headers. Let's do that. Immediately I do that, you can see instead of getting column 1, column 2, the generic column names, I now have a proper column header. And you can see on the sides here, applied steps. Any step that you take inside of Power Query is recorded for you, so that that step can replay in case new data surfaces on the website. That's how Power Query works. Now feel free to go ahead and edit all the titles here. Maybe, for example, I'd like to remove or to amend this title, just removing these few characters. This is IMF 2025 estimates, and this is World Bank 2022 up to 2024 estimates, and this is United Nations 2023 estimates. Okay, enter. All those steps will be recorded right here. You can see rename column step, and my data seems to be fine. What I can do is to change the data types. Right now you can see each of this data type is actually text. Okay, and you can see we have numbers here. So this is supposed to be number, this is supposed to be number, this is supposed to be number or currency. So let's go ahead and change the data types. For this one, I confirm yes, it is text. And for this, instead of text, I will change this one to either whole number, or I can say currency. But let's do currency, like so. And you can now see these values will now show on the right. Let's go ahead and do the same for all these other numbers, or I can actually choose whole number. And I can also come back here and choose whole number. So I want to replace the current step. That's fine. And I can come here and also choose whole number. The other thing that I can do before I actually load this data into Excel is I'll go to the View tab and turn on the column quality. I want to check if there is any errors, if there are any blanks, so that I can deal with them. So I turn on the column quality, and there you go. You can see now for this column, everything seems to be fine. But for IMF 2025 column, as if I have around 13 errors, and most of the data seems to be not fine. Yes. So what I can do is either to go ahead and deal with those errors by removing them, or replacing them with something else. Okay. And this World Bank column seems to be fine. United Nations seem to be fine. And now, if you're comfortable with this data set, feel free to load it into Excel, and then you can start using it for analysis. Okay, I will not go through these other several data cleaning processes. We cover that in our next class. I'll just go ahead and load this data. So I go to File, Close and Load To, and I will load this to a table. It's quite a small table. Let's load it back to a table, and I'll use existing worksheet and load it right here. And say okay, and sure enough, you just give it a few moments and it will bring that table into Microsoft Excel. Now the beauty with this approach is that if this Wikipedia page gets new data, that new data will be able to fetch through, or will be able to appear in this table that we are loading right here inside of Microsoft Excel. That's the beauty of using Power Query. Okay, now you can see 222 rows have been loaded, although this particular data has some errors which we can deal with in our next class of data cleaning using Power Query. But ideally, this is how you can connect your spreadsheets to any website or web page and pick data automatically. Now, the key takeaway from this process is Power Query turns Excel from a static spreadsheet into a live data tool. You no longer need to copy and paste. Excel can now fetch and refresh that data automatically for you from the website. The other thing is you don't need to be a programmer to collect data from the web. Power Query gives you that capability and the power right inside of Microsoft Excel. Before you actually start analyzing or building a dashboard report for your next project, always ask yourself, can I automate some of this data collection and data cleaning steps? And Power Query or web scraping can save you hours of every week. Now, with Power Query, you can pull live data from stock prices, exchange rates, or population statistics directly into Excel and keep it updated with just one single click. So next time you find yourself copying data from a website, remember, Excel can do it for you. Try web scraping with Power Query and take your Excel skills to the next level. See you in the next video.